It's not often that a new software product gets its own entire section in a computer store, but that's exactly what's happened with Windows 3.0. It's become the new standard operating environment in the PC world. So big-time software vendors from Lotus to WordPerfect are having to come out with new versions of their best-selling titles, redesigned especially for Windows. Today we'll take a look at yet another new generation of PC software, software for Windows, on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, which reminds you it's a federal offense to copy software, and by PC Connection and Mac Connection, and by Byte Magazine, and BIX, the Byte Information Exchange.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and with me this week is Tim Baharan, Executive Vice President of Creative Strategies and one of the most oft-quoted experts in the field here. Tim, virtually every software vendor is trying to come out with Windows versions of products for the PC now. Spinnaker is no exception. This is the new PFS version, PFS WindowWorks, and as you can see, it really does take advantage of Windows. We're looking at a spreadsheet, a chart, and a word processor at the same time, and I'll show you, for example, if I change the value in that one particular cell, I can go over here and click on the chart, and of course it reflects the change in the value there. I can go click on the word processor document. The chart which I imported does the same thing. Also, I can easily go over here. Let's go back to chart. Say I've decided I want a pie chart instead. I go up here, just simply go to type, go over here and say let's pick exploded pie. Boom, and there in the chart I've got my different. I go back to the word processor, simply click on the chart over there and it changes. Real nice use of Windows for something like this kind of integrated package. Windows has become the de facto operating standard, obviously, on the PC, and it seems odd, really, about a year or so ago when it first came out. I mean, people were joking about the fact you bought Windows to play Solitaire or Reversi. Yeah, now everyone's using it. Microsoft has sold over 4 million copies of the thing. Why has it succeeded so well?
Well, in the PC arena, we have been wanting something that allows our software to be easier to use for a long time. You know, from the early days, all we had was DOS and character-based interfaces. Well, Windows gave us the proper approach towards graphical interfaces in the same way Apple did with the Mac interface. But it really is only taken off now that we start to get applications such as this particular product, the PFS WindowWorks, and Excel and others that are starting to come out that really take advantage of Windows and make the software application real easy to use.
Tim, today we're going to look at several new Windows applications, 6 of them in fact, including the new WordPerfect for Windows, the new Lotus 123 for Windows. Now, if you are working in the Windows environment, you don't only need new off-the-shelf programs, you want to be able to design new applications on your own. And there are 2 new products that let you do that, and one of them is Object Vision from Borland.
Charles Schwab recently held a company event to familiarize corporate managers with each other's departments. The finance division decided to use a computer to design a trivia game that would educate other managers about the company's finance capabilities.
We wanted to try to be creative and show that we were creative, at the same time show that we had technologically advanced techniques in the division, because some people view finance as not having that advanced capabilities.
Project leader Marianne Hewitt wanted a user-friendly interface and decided to use Object Vision for the application.
I don't know of any other product that we could have used. We did consider Visual Basic, but we thought that would require too much programming, and we didn't really have the time to invest. You know, we had a 6-week lead time before the meeting to put something together, and it would have been a little too hard and too much work and too technical, and that's not what we wanted. And I don't know that we could have done it outside Windows and had it work this nicely.
The game features a main menu with 5 categories to choose from. Each game contains multiple choice questions. Object Vision's tools allowed Hewitt to design a form for each game screen. The play action is controlled by decision trees. Hewitt says Object Vision's simple interface made the programming easy.
I was amazed at how fast you could develop a good-looking application in a short period of time, and how easy it was to change it. You know, when I developed the game and then I'd go show it to the task force and the vice presidents and say, what do you think? And they'd say, well, can you change this and can you move this a little? You know, they were real concerned about the aesthetics and how it looked, and I could make those changes instantly so that they could see if they liked it or not.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
No sooner does a company come out with version X of something when
By
along comes a
Central Point
third-party
Software.
vendor who brings out what is essentially version X+1, improving on the original. Peter Norton's done that under the Symantec label now with the Norton Desktop for Windows. And here to show it off is J.J. Schock of Symantec. Also with us, Michael Harvey of Microsoft, who will show us the solution series for Windows. Tim?
Windows already has a desktop, but you guys felt that you needed more?
Well, let me show you actually. Here's Microsoft's Program Manager. I'm going to exit out of there, and behind there is the Norton Desktop. Notice we've retained all the groups that you had in your Program Manager, but there's also some drive icons that you can click on. There's also tools on the bottom, Viewer, Backup, Printer, and also Smart Erase, where you can erase and unerase. One of the things that we've added is that you can actually take something out of a Program Manager group and lay it right on the desktop. You can also have groups within groups and have password control too. Also, if you click on a drive, navigating is very easy. Notice the File Manager is right there on the desktop along with the Program Manager groups. Let me find the samples directory here. It's just a matter of typing it and finding it. You can also drag files right out of a file list onto the desktop, just the same sort of way.
Nice.
We've also added a view pane, so you can quickly view files to see what they are. We can also drag several files
At one time?
at one time right into a different viewer engine that lets you view multiple files at the same time. We also allow you to tile them.
Right,
See
see them
them all
side
at
by
once.
side.
So you can see them side by side, and also with graphics files you can double click to see the whole graphic file within a certain size. Something else we've done is allowed you to easily copy files to other drives or other directories. Just simply grab the file and drag it to that icon. That's all it is. Or groups of files, or actually multiple directories. If you want to mark several directories, you can drag that whole tree to another drive and actually copies it or moves it right to that drive. Something else we've done is we've included a complete Norton backup for Windows in this product. You can start a backup just by grabbing a drive icon, for example, and dragging it to the backup tool. And it'll start backing up your whole drive C in the background. You can also grab a file and simply drag it to the printer tool to start printing it. It'll load
Much easier to use, isn't it?
much easier. Finally, if you want to erase a file, you can just simply drag it to the Smart Erase tool. And getting it back is just a matter of double-clicking on that, finding the file, and pressing the unerase button. It's the easiest unerase yet that we've produced.
Okay.
Finally,
Yeah.
we have a bunch of tools that we've supplied. Besides data recovery tools, an icon editor, a system information program, you can now see the performance of your computer in a graphic format.
Very nice. JJ, thanks a lot. Michael, let's turn now to the solution series from Microsoft. That's not one product, though. It's three separate products, isn't it?
That's right. There's 3 brand new applications from Microsoft. They're targeted at the small business and home market. The products are Microsoft Works for Windows,
Which most of our
that's
viewers
right.
know about.
Same kind of functionality, database, spreadsheet,
Right.
word processing, charting and drawing, all the tools that a small business would need to run a growing business.
Okay.
Microsoft Publisher, which is an entry-level desktop publishing product, and Microsoft Money. Let's take a quick look at Microsoft Money.
Okay.
You'll notice as we look at this that it's very intuitive for the user to use. We're looking at something that looks like a check. The other frequently used way of interacting with this product is with something that looks like a checkbook register.
Right.
The user is simply able to type in data and organize their financial files very easily.
This is not accounting, though. This is personal finance, isn't it?
That's correct. It's based on a checkbook. Although a small business, many small businesses run their
Sure.
business off
Would
a
this
checkbook.
be a Quicken type product in the Windows environment?
It is very similar to
Yeah.
the Quicken product,
Okay.
yes. Let's go ahead and look at Microsoft Publisher then, which, as I mentioned, is an entry-level desktop publishing software.
It is.
It is. And what we're looking at right now is a fairly rich document that has lots of text and graphic elements on it and shows sort of some of the features that Publisher can bring to bear to allow a user to create very professional-looking documents. Now, you might be asking, well, this is Microsoft. Of course, it's going to be easy for them to create a great-looking document. Let's show how a new user might actually get to work with this product right away. Both Works and Publisher feature something called wizards. And what a wizard is, it's like having a graphic designer, in this case, right in the box with you. For example, 60% of our small business users want to create newsletters. So we've incorporated a page wizard that allows them to very quickly create a newsletter and create one that is going to be very, very professional looking.
And Wizards basically gives an outline to give you choices.
Exactly. In fact, what it's doing now is it's going to step us through a series of questions. For example, what style of newsletter do we want? We can see the little click and see preview over here showing us what our choices are going to look like. So for example, if we want to change the number of columns, it tells us 4 columns is a flexible layout, so we can go ahead and use that. And we step through, we can input what the title of our newsletter is going to be, whether we'll be printing front and back, how many pages that will be in there.
Just asking you a series of questions rather than you having to figure out what to do.
It's like having a meeting with your graphics department. And so now it tells us that it's ready to go ahead and create this document. And
Based on the answers you gave.
Exactly. So what we'll see happening is the wizard will actually be running Publisher in the background here, and we'll be creating those elements as I specified. And we can actually use this as a tutorial tool, because here at the bottom of the screen, I'm able to slow up or speed down.
So we're really watching an automated desktop publisher.
That's
here,
exactly right. And so if we wanted to slow this down, it would tell us I am now creating a text frame, or I'm now inputting text into that frame. And whatever we do, this is going to allow us to create a great looking document. So even if we don't have any design expertise, we'll be able to do that.
Now these particular products, all 3 of them, tend to be focusing right on the low end or the small business side of the market?
Yes, that's correct. If you think about it, Microsoft's corporate vision is a computer in every home and on every desktop. And so now that we're seeing Windows selling in large quantities and very powerful hardware becoming inexpensive, we're actually starting to see products like this that now capitalize on that vision. So we hope that this will help to make that Microsoft vision come true.
And there's Publisher clicking away there.
Yes, that's right.
Putting together your newsletter.
And so this process probably takes anywhere from 30 seconds, because we've got a fairly complex newsletter, up to a minute or so. And that's what we're seeing going on now. And when it's done, we'll be ready to, for example, import some text from a Works document that we might have created.
Michael, thank you very much. We're out of time, and I think we have our finished document there. All right, earlier we looked at Borland's object vision being used to develop customized Windows applications, but Microsoft has come out with its own Windows development package called Visual Basic. Here's a look at it.
When computer programmers at PG&E needed to create a program to help them sift through a mountain of financial data, they turned to Visual Basic, the powerful graphical application development program from Microsoft for Windows 3.0. But unlike some more complicated development kits for Windows, programming with Visual Basic can be broken down into 3 simple steps.
Basic components to creating a Visual Basic application are creating the forms and designs, then filling in whatever code is behind it, and then testing and running the application and making any modifications that are necessary.
That is, without writing any code, a programmer can visually create the interface components of an application, like command buttons and text fields, by simply dragging them from a toolbox onto a window. Writing code only comes into the picture when you want to add functionality to those interface components.
When we want to create a more complex reaction to a particular event, perhaps pressing of a key or clicking of the mouse button, moving the mouse, etc., we do then need to go ahead and do some programming.
Visual Basic also lets the user communicate and exchange data with other Windows applications. In this case, the PG&E application was programmed to dump the requested financial data from the database into Excel. PG&E says they can now have relevant financial information at their fingertips quickly and effortlessly thanks to the new Windows application they developed using Visual Basic. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
The 2 most widely used applications on the PC are WordPerfect and Lotus 1-2-3. So when Windows took hold, both WordPerfect and Lotus had to adapt. And here to show us the new Windows versions of their products are Paul Stroby of Lotus and Devin Durant of WordPerfect. Tim?
Devin, one of the things that's very important to users of either WordPerfect or Lotus is the fact that they've already learned keystrokes. How do they handle keystrokes in a Windows environment?
You're right, Tim, that is important. And what we're going to do with WordPerfect for Windows is provide 2 keyboards. One will be CUA compliant, one will be WordPerfect 5.1 for DOS compliant, making the transition smooth. We've also gone to great lengths to preserve the file formats between the DOS product and the Windows product. No need for file conversion. We want to make that transition very smooth for our users.
What about Lotus? Yeah.
Well, I'll just bring up the product here. That's also very true for Lotus. There are millions of people who know 123 around the world, and they know it, and they have lots of files, and they want to bring those files into the Windows environment. With 123 for Windows, we've made sure that the files, the styles that they have, the spreadsheet publishing capabilities, the macro capabilities that they have in earlier versions of 123, all come forward automatically, no change required. When you press the slash, up pops the 123 classic command.
Sure.
This is everything you've ever learned in 123, all the keystrokes that you have in the 123 product, everything you've ever done, slash range format, slash file retrieve, slash quit, slash worksheet global default, other international clock. They all work.
Well, what about Windows now?
It's also important that we wanted to make 123 for Windows truly Windows. As Devin mentioned, the ability to have the CUA compliance. There's a big consistency factor in moving to a Windows environment. We wanted to make sure that 123 for Windows is a good citizen in that environment with the right menu choices, the right design. Primarily, we've done that through designing a menu choice, working with customers. And also customers have said to make 123 for Windows better, make it really exploit the Windows environment.
All right, show us what it does.
One thing we've added with 123 is we've added the smart icons. The smart icons are a set of buttons or functionality behind buttons that we've added to 123 and to our other Windows applications from Lotus that allow you to do things instead of going through a menu or a dialog box, like opening a file, closing a file, print, preview, scissors for cutting. If I don't know what these pictures do, I can point to them, and at the top of the screen, you notice that I have the words that tell me exactly what these things do. Give you an example of how these types of smart icons can work. Put my cursor underneath the column of numbers and click on a button we call Smart Sum. It adds up the column of numbers. Put it next to a row, it adds up the row of numbers.
It knows it's a row.
The reason we call our icons smart icons, though, is that they're context sensitive. So when I highlight both the columns and the rows, with one click it adds up both the columns and the rows. They know icons figure out where you are when you click them and then do the appropriate thing based on that. Smart icons are also very useful for doing formatting operations, for making things colors, making things bold, italic. Okay? We also have our smart icons a customizability that you can take these icons and make them float anywhere you want to on the screen, give your own set of tools. Plus we have the ability to customize our icon palette, our smart icons, by combining a large number of what we call factory supplied or standard icons with custom icons, pictures that you can create yourself in Windows, and then attach to those pictures any macros, any functionality, any set of keystrokes that you wish, and create your own palette that makes sense for you. So with the smart icons, we have a much more active user interface and create a product that's not only better, but also easier to use and a lot more fun, a lot more graphical.
Paul, we got about a minute left, so use some of these buttons and show us how you'd make a fancy sheet there.
Just some of the things we can do for 123 for Windows. We can cycle through available text colors on text, as you can see as I'm doing there, background colors. We've provided to our Windows users Adobe Type Manager to give us true compatibility of fonts across the entire Windows environment. One click to make a drop shadow. Also, one thing people wanted in 123 for Windows was better graphing and better charting capabilities. So with 123 for Windows, I highlight what I want, click the chart button, and now I have a new set of tools on my smart icon palette for graphics. Click once to go to a bar chart, to go to a 3D line chart, or even go to a graph gallery, which gives me the ability to pick visually what I want. Okay. Finish this chart off by doing some annotation, adding an arrow, and then fully controlling how that works and how that looks.
Very nice.
Going back just to finish this off.
Put that back inside your spreadsheet.
Put that right back inside the spreadsheet, exactly. Highlight an area there, and add that graph directly back to the sheet.
Very nice.
And now I'm ready to preview this off and print it in any number of ways. Okay, there's the graph itself.
Right.
And I want to highlight the entire sheet, and say preview.
And in the same way, you could be doing little fancier formatting behind those numbers and colors and bolds
Exactly.
and so on.
We give the ability to make your spreadsheet look good, but it's more than just a pretty spreadsheet. We brought forward a lot of the technologies from our earlier versions of 123. A true three-dimensional spreadsheet environment gives us the ability to make our spreadsheets look good and to make it look good easily. Okay?
Yeah, it's a different 123. All right, we want to turn now to WordPerfect. And what kinds of changes are there in WordPerfect? As Tim mentioned, we're used to using WordPerfect the old way. How do you use it in Windows?
We've taken the power that was available in WordPerfect 5.1 for DOS, taken it into a Windows environment. We want to make the product easy to use, a powerful product. If you look at this document, a WordPerfect for Windows document, you'll notice now you're seeing your graphic image on screen. Large fonts are clearly visible. Graphic lines are displayed on screen. What you see on screen now is what you're going to get at your printer. What I'd like to do, let's go ahead and grab a second document. We're going to allow you to have up to 9 different documents open in WordPerfect for Windows. From here, I want to pull up and display what we're calling our button bar. The button bar, what it is, it allows you to attach any menu item or macro to a button displayed on screen, making different, accessing different commands very easy in WordPerfect for Windows. So what I want to do is start with this text file and let's turn this into a newsletter with a professional look. So from here, we'll go ahead and just select WordPerfect for Windows. Let me grab that again. And with the click of a button, I can add an extra large attribute to that text. Now you'll notice here we've got a spacing problem between the W and the O. Let's do some manual kerning, and we'll go to our typeset dialog box. From here, with the click of a down arrow, we can drop that O right underneath the W and give it that professional look. Now the next thing I want to do here is with the word WordPerfect, I need a registered trademark symbol. So we'll go into our character set dialog box, and here we're going to give our users access to over 1,500 different characters and 12 different character sets. Let's go with the typographic symbols. There's the symbol that I want. We say insert and close, and it's inserted the cursor position. Now it's a little large because of the attribute that we've applied there. So with the click of a button on a button bar, we can superscript that text, and that's what we're looking for. Let's go ahead and add some color to our document here. We're into our color dialog box. From here, we're going to give you the opportunity to select from a series of predefined colors, or choose from our spectrum and create a custom color and apply that to the text. Now, I mentioned earlier that we could attach macros to buttons. Let's go ahead and click on this button. It's going to call another button bar, and we'll be able to continue to make some changes. Let's go ahead and grab text here. Just simple bolding by clicking on a single button is done. Let me pull up the ruler. This is another new feature in WordPerfect for Windows. From here, you can adjust margin, choose fonts. Actually, let's go ahead and select this text, apply a style directly from the ruler. And also tables could be created from the ruler. This is a good example of how we've made things easier in WordPerfect for Windows. Simply click and drag, choose the size of table that you'd like. But in this document, what I want to do right now is format it into columns. You can do up to 24 columns in WordPerfect for Windows from the ruler quickly. We'll allow you to do up to 5. Let's choose 3. I want you to see how easy it is to modify the white spacing between columns. We can click here between columns 2 and 3, actually move that white spacing, and see the changes right on screen.
Now, we're almost out of time. Show me 1 or 2 good tricks and we got to go.
Let's go ahead and let's go to 2 columns, and I want to pull in a graphic image. And so with a single click, we're into our dialog box, and from here we can select the image, bring it in. This is actually the icon we're using with WordPerfect for Windows. We'll go ahead and select that. Very easy to adjust the size of that image on screen, move it on screen. Let's bring it over here into column 1 and make it a little bit smaller.
It automatically resizes it all.
Yes, sir. From here, last touch, we add a horizontal line. Let's go ahead and turn off our ruler. 2 clicks of a button. We've got a horizontal line in our document. We can select that, similar to any other graphic image. Adjust the width of that line, the length. All very easy, click and drag. And if you want to go from a horizontal line to a vertical line, simply click and drag. We'll drop this in between 2 columns. And there's a quick look. All right. Some of the new features in WordPerfect for Windows.
It's a whole new world out there with Lotus and WordPerfect.
Yes.
All right, that's our look at what's new with Windows. Stay tuned now for this week's computer news on Random Access.
In the Random Access file this week, Epson is set to announce its first color notebook PC at this month's Comdex. The color laptop will be the first battery-powered notebook PC to use active matrix technology. Epson is also introducing 2 monochrome laptops that can be upgraded to the color screen. All 3 machines will use the Intel 386SL processor. Chips and Technologies has introduced 7 new microprocessors in a direct challenge to Intel. The company spent 4 years and some $50 million developing its own Intel-compatible architecture. The new chips are priced competitively with Intel. Chips and Technology says their new microprocessors are 10% more powerful than the Intel chips. Tandy claims to be the first PC maker to ship computers that comply with the new industry multimedia standard for combining text, images, and sound. The new Tandys come bundled with a customized version of Windows designed specifically for multimedia use. Tandy is introducing 5 new multimedia models ranging in price from $2,800 to $5,500. Apple has introduced 2 new laser printers as well as a large screen monitor for the Macintosh. The 2 printers, called the LaserWriter 2F and the 2G, feature advanced grayscale and text printing. They are the first laser printers from Apple to use Adobe's PostScript Level 2 page description language. The new color Macintosh monitor allows users to see 2 full pages and display any combination of text, graphics, and video. A company called Lamarck's has announced the first laser printer built in America. The Lamarck's laser printer is actually an IBM printer assembled in Kentucky. Lamarck's will be marketing the new machine. Taking a look at this week's top 10 software titles for the PC. PC Connection reports that MS-DOS 5.0 upgrade is in the #1 position, with Desktop 1.0 for Windows in second. Third is After Dark 1.0 for Windows, followed by Double Up upgrade for Windows and Expanded Memory Manager. Rounding out the top 10 PC titles are WordPerfect 5.1, Procom Plus, the Norton Utility 6.0, Windows 3.0, and DR-DOS. Medical doctors will soon be able to get almost instant access to newly published clinical data. The new online journal of the current clinical trials has announced a new service for doctors that will put the latest research data online within hours of its release and expert review. Currently, doctors often don't see the latest research data until a month after it's been released due to the time it takes to print medical journals. Archivists from the University of Michigan have just completed a 2-year effort to enter the records of the Vatican into a computer database. UPI reports that the last time anyone tried to organize Vatican records was back in 1588. Well, finally, first there was Tetris, then Weltris, and now Wordtris. Yes, those little falling blocks have turned into letters, and the object now is not to form lines, but to form words. Spectrum Holobyte has just introduced Wordtris. Fortunately, there is a child's mode in which it lets you slow down the speed of the game. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Maria Gabriel.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, which reminds you it's a federal offense to copy software, and by PC Connection and Mac Connection, and by Byte Magazine, and Bix, the Byte Information Exchange.
The Computer Chronicles provides a free kit to help you review the contents of your company's hard disks and ensure the ethical use of software. For a free self-audit program, write to the Computer Chronicles, Box 2954, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania 17105.